Hello and welcome to the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo. I'm Karen Teague and today we bring you an absolute first. It is the first time that this centre has held the Easter Jumping Festival, and with over $75,000 in prize money up for grabs, it is no wonder that riders have come from afar. Now, one of the true delights about show jumping is riders of all experiences get to compete together on an even playing field. One of the riders you'll want to keep a close eye on is Beatson. He has been winning Grand Prix longer than some of his competitors have been walking. But first up, let's go and catch up with Pip Howes, our course designer, and get the inside scoop on what our horses and riders will be facing. Another really busy lady would have to be you, Pip. A wonderful course that you've been building here. And of course, the metre 40 is going to have its challenges. What are the riders going to be faced with?
Well, the riders out there, because the metre 40 is your top class at the show, so it's going to be about the rideability of the horse and rider combination. They're going to be able to have to adjust strides, ride a track with precision, and of course they're going to have the element of the size of the obstacles as well.
Now, what is your inspiration when you come to a beautiful venue such as this and you think about where you're going to be putting the jumps and the challenges? What inspires you?
For me, it's just nice having a class where there's good jumping and promoting that good jumping. And, you know, that's what my job is there. It's not out there to trap and trick, as some people might like to say. It's promoting good sport.
And there's quite a lot of training and qualifications behind to become a course designer of this level. What's been involved for you?
I've been fortunate. I've done all my upgrades. So there's been 3 international courses that I've had to do, plus some refreshers in between. I've been able to do those in Australia. I've also spent some time course designing in Ireland as well, back in 2019. Of course, last year I couldn't go because of COVID. But look, it's been a fantastic road through and a lot of hard work, you know.
Well, thanks, Pip. We love watching how riders tackle your courses, and we're going to be looking forward to this one.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, it's now time for the Fibre Fresh Horse metre 40 to 45 $10,000 final. We're coming to you live from the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo at this incredible purpose-built facility. You can see the arena now is being harrowed and prepared. The riders have come in and walked the track. If you're just joining us for the first time, we are bringing 3 classes to you today. We just had the wonderful result of Brooke Hawthorne taking out the metre 30 to 35. 18 years of age, a wonderfully successful young rider with some good young rider wins under her belt. And we've been lucky enough to steal Brooke away just after her win. Brooke, what was your game plan going into that? Thanks for joining us in the commentary booth. Wonderful win. Talk us through what you went through there.
Thank you. It was obviously to go in and produce a double clear round. I saw Briar go early on and I thought I could definitely shave some time off her round. But yeah, I thought, you know, I waited to hear from how Sam went, and then I knew I just had to go in and push him, but be cautious because I didn't want to drop a rail and cost the whole class.
Well, that's the great thing about the sport. We were talking about that earlier with Brooke Edgecombe. I was saying, what's the strategy going into the jump-off? Being one of the last out there, you could see who you had to beat and how fast you had to go. But that must put an element of pressure on you. Bit of nerves heightened.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I went in and I saw Sam drop a rail, and I knew I had to beat Briar's time. So I pushed him along enough so if I was to drop a rail, I would still be high enough in the placings to hopefully pick up a quick four-faulter. But that didn't need to happen, obviously. And, yeah, he jumped his heart out for me and the pressure was on, but, all came together.
Well, it looked great. You were nearly 3 seconds faster, so it was a pretty well-ridden jump-off. And tell us a little bit about Ziggy Stardust GNZ.
We call him Barney at home. He is quite a character. I love him to bits, but yeah, he keeps me on his toes. He's always doing something to play around, or he wants to do it his way. So I always say it's like it's like a toddler. You got to convince him that he's doing what he wants to do, and really you're trying to do what you want to do.
That's exactly what I say to people. It's like a school class full of 600-kilo toddlers.
Yeah, literally.
Horses are characters, and for those of us who are joining the sport who know nothing about horses, I think you'll start to see that in the next class. Sometimes riders have a game plan, don't they, Brock? But they come into the ring and the horse has a totally different idea.
Yeah. Especially with the indoor, there's not many indoors in New Zealand, so sometimes they'll come in and they'll catch their eye on the screen, or because it echoes quite a bit inside, they can be a lot spookier and lookier. Some horses, it doesn't change how they go at all, but yeah, the odd horse will come in and it'll just be a completely different horse inside.
And it's coming to the end of our season now. What are the plans for you?
I'm actually flying to Australia in a week and a half, so my horses will go out to the paddock until for a while. My young ones are looking for new homes, and Barney, Ziggy Stardust, will stay in the paddock until I know a bit more what I'm going to do. So.
Well, that's exciting. You might get to ride with him overseas yet, and we look forward to following your progress. But it looks like we have our first rider in the arena now. And this is the Fibre Fresh horse, metre 40 to metre 45, $10,000 final. And we see Catherine Alabaster aboard Haupori Drama NZPH. This is an 8-year-old bay mare standing at 167.5 centimetres. A purpose-bred sport horse by Orlando. And Brooke, we saw a lot of the NZPH horses in the earlier class. They certainly are quite a presence in show jumping and eventing in New Zealand, aren't they?
Yeah. The team, well, they've split up. The business is split now, but there's a lot of NZPH horses in these bigger classes. I guess they're all international bloodlines, the French bloodlines. So it's, they're really making their presence.
And with the importation of stallions and the breeding program, we've seen in the last, a lot of warm bloods and crossed with a lot of the very strong thoroughbred lines in New Zealand. Yeah, thoroughbreds are very dominant in New Zealand bloodlines, and they're just trying to breed more and more, because thoroughbreds is where you get your speed, and the only way really going forward is speed. We've got the jump. It's just breeding more speed into the sport. So, and then getting the opportunity to ride in more competitions such as this Easter festival of jumping in this indoor arena, which is great. The horses certainly do change a little bit when they move from warming up in the outdoors to the indoors.
Yeah, it's an incredible show, and Tony and Colin have done an amazing job. It's very similar footing outside, but we always try and get the horses inside so their eyes can adjust to the lighting a little bit and have a look around. And but it's the same footing out in the warm-up as it is inside.
Just different being indoors, and that was unfortunately 3 rails down for our first combination. But speaking of Australia, we have a wonderful horse that's come over and flown across the ditch, and this is Olivia Dalton's Yalambi's Garibaldi. Liv's got some wonderful horses, being just a young full-time rider herself, and she's doing a great job of helping these horses find their feet here in New Zealand. And this is a 10-year-old bay gelding standing at 165 centimetres by Capino Z, bred by the Yalambi stud in Australia. And again, that's a stud that we see lots of strong show jumpers coming out of, wouldn't you say, Brock?
Yeah, definitely. Livy's had this horse for a couple of seasons now, and they're coming together really nicely. But yeah, she brought this off, I believe, Brooklyn Becker in Australia.
And looks like she's pulling up there. Not quite sure what's gone wrong there. Just one rail. Was it a cross of tracks?
I think she didn't quite get the ride around the corner that she was looking for.
Well, that's unfortunate for her there. She's based in Auckland in Karaka and is a full-time rider. So it's lovely to see a lot of these riders coming through and then choosing this as their career and making it professional. And I spoke to Livy yesterday about that a little bit, that transition, riding for fun to right now I've got to make this a professional job. And unfortunately, I think she's electing to call it a day there. And that's the thing with when you know your horse well, you get into the ring, don't you, Brooke, and you sort of go, okay, today's not my day, I'm not feeling the best.
Yeah, one day you can come out and be at the top, and the next day you can be right down at the bottom. It keeps you pretty honest, the horse.
It does. It's the great levelling. We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there, that's for sure. And that's why it pays not to get too excited when you win, and don't get too upset when you don't.
Yeah.
But we see there's a little bit of tension, obviously, in the air today. We see Annabelle Francis now having a challenging start to enter in the arena aboard a LT Holst Elizabeth. This is, again, a young horse, especially at this level of 1.40 m, an 8-year-old Holsteiner by Clinton, bred here in Taupo.
Yeah, it looks like Elizabeth has just caught the screen. Didn't want to really go too close to it there, so hopefully that doesn't play too much of a role.
Well, there are a lot of distractions with the people in the crowd, the screens, the noises. We see some horses coming in wearing ears. I can see ears on Elizabeth there. And that can help a little bit to block out the sound. Have you found that with your rides?
Yeah, I use ears on my horses. It just stops the echoing, because if they tap it, sometimes they tap a rail, it can give them a fright, and it really echoes through the building.
And horses are very sensitive animals. They have all their senses heightened, and of course when you're asking them to perform at this level, it takes it to a whole nother world for them, doesn't it? So anything we can do as riders to sort of help them with their anxiety, we're certainly keen to do that.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth might have just been jumping into the screen there and caught the screen.
And that's the hard thing. We train our horses at home, but you can't train them for a giant TV screen.
Yeah. Unless
you bring them into your lounge.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's something very different, and Taupo's one of the only shows that has a big screen. So it's good, because overseas, internationally, they always have big screens, so it's bringing that to a reality.
And throughout this show on the weekend, these riders and horses have been jumping in the indoor, but the big screen hasn't often been playing. So horses get familiar with their arena, and then you change something about it, and it becomes a whole new world for them.
Yeah, definitely.
So not the best round there for Annabelle, but she did a very, very good job to ride that, because that didn't look easy.
No, it didn't look easy at all. It looks like she was having a little bit of trouble there, but they'll probably be off to series finals next weekend, so I'm sure it'll be a completely different show there for her.
Yes, save it for there. But now, speaking of young riders who have won a lot, he's no longer a young rider, he's just out of that category, but Logan Massey. Now, Bravado Ego Z, a lovely horse, and Logan has been an absolute champion, winning young riders, winning some huge titles at Horse of the Year, and this is an 11-year-old chestnut stallion by Belvagran Z out of a Carthago Z mare. So, again, beautifully bred Holsteiner.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. I really love this horse, and Logan does a beautiful job with him.
He does a beautiful job. Those may have seen him on Country Calendar. There was a wonderful piece done on Logan with his dedication to the sport of show jumping, mixing that with working the land and being a very busy lad. And that's what we see with a lot of these riders. There's professional full-time riders, and then there's others that juggle, a couple of careers. It certainly is not a sport for people who are wanting to sit on the couch, is it, Brooke?
No, definitely. It's a full-time job, horses. You got to be up early in the mornings, and there's some very late nights as well.
And a lot of 7-day working weeks.
Yes. I mean, they can't feed themselves, so...
Lazy little darlings. But we're seeing Logan doing a wonderful job here. Bravado, Ego, Z. And lovely to see a stallion as well. A lot of stallions obviously stay home at the paddock and are used for breeding, but it is really good to see these performance stallions out there. He got a bit deep to that one, didn't he?
Yeah, no, it is. I think his first offspring just coming out now, Bravado, and he's a lovely stallion, so it's going to be really exciting to see what he produces.
And it's great for prospective breeders to see them out and about, not only their ability and their talent, but also their temperament. And he's obviously got a pretty sound-looking mind and temperament there, but unfortunately not able to pull off a clear round as we sit and wait for that first clear round. Now we've got Jesse Linton aboard LD Holst Elspeth, an 8-year-old bay mare standing at 167.5 centimetres. A Holsteiner by Casadello out of a Corrado mare. Again, bred by Lake Taupo Holsteiners, so it's the second one from the same breeder in this class. And this horse has been very successful, having a win in the 7-year-old series and then previously the 6-year-old series, and also a win at the Futurity final in 2019. So it's lovely to see a horse that's been successful right through the age group classes and then carrying on into what is, quite a decent track of the metre 40-45.
Yeah, Jesse's done an amazing job producing this mare. He does with all his young ones, and she's very, very nice.
And Jesse from the Hawke's Bay is a professional rider and trainer there. So another hard-working chap. But as you said, Brock, a beautiful job in preparing and presenting these horses. There's so many hours and years that go into training to get to this level. So obviously, like in the class we saw before, the skysportnext metre 30-35, this is an AM5 event, which means that riders have an optimum time. The optimum time for this round is 78 seconds. They need to get under that, so they have to keep moving. However, they also need to leave all the rails up and not have any refusals. So a clear round is what we're looking for, and all clear rounds will come back at the end of the class to go against the clock at a shortened, slightly higher track. And then the fastest who is clear will win. That is if someone goes clear. But that is the goal, of course. We saw Brooke Hawthorne take out a lovely win before by not only going clear, but by blitzing the time of the others. By nearly 3 seconds, I might add, Brooke. So what do you think these riders are going through now? I mean, even with experience, there's a certain amount of nerves, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And with a class like this that has such good prize money as well, the pressure's definitely on. And yeah, it's incredible that Tony and Colin have found the prize money for not only the big metre 40 classes, but everything through all the different heights. So everyone can, look at ending their season with a big win.
I think you make a really valid point there. So even the metre horses are competing for over $10,000, and that gives them a little bit of a taste of what these riders are feeling now with that pressure to win that kind of money, as we see Sam Whale now on Fleur de la Cour. Again, another very young horse for this height, a 7-year-old bay mare, 170 centimetres, by Corofino 2. Again, bred by Butch Thomas. Now, it's lovely to see these very successful and experienced breeders time and time again producing horses. And again, we see another Corofino 2 competing at this level.
Yeah, Corofino 2 is definitely a big prominent stallion in New Zealand. You see a lot of his offspring jumping right up to the World Cup level. He's, leaves a lot of nice horses.
But unfortunately, the rails did fall there for Sam. Not the best round she's had, but there's still a smile on her face and a pat. So that is good to see that sportsmanship there, but I'm sure it wasn't her best round. But like you said, there'll always be another day as we welcome Nicole White aboard LC Sampson. This is a 14-year-old dark bay gelding at 162.5 centimetres. Now, this lovely horse is by Lindbergh, and Lindbergh stood here for a number of years and produced a lot of stunning warm bloods, many, many warm bloods. We saw several in the previous class. He certainly is a stallion that has stamped the sport, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of his offspring jumping all through the heights at the moment, and we were very lucky to have him stand in New Zealand for the time that he was here.
And this horse is out of a Grosvenor mare. Again, we mentioned earlier there's a lot of thoroughbred blood in these horses, being that we're Kiwis and we love our thoroughbred lines, and Grosvenor has got many an offspring that have been winners and title winners in both eventing and show jumping.
Yeah, you see them come through the broodmare lines quite often, and these good horses that are bred from out of New Zealand. I think everyone tries to use as much thoroughbred in their breeding nowadays as they can.
And maybe a little bit more pressure is placed on Nicole because she has come all the way from Invercargill. And she's a part-time rider coach, farm worker and student down there. And she's actually studying the sport of massage therapy, which will be quite good, being an equestrian, won't it? Yeah. She might need a bit of that. But she's come a very long way, based herself up here. This horse was actually bred by LC Horse Farm, the Cohen family, who set themselves up in Clevedon and South Auckland and have bred many horses. But unfortunate to see just a couple of rails falling there. They did start so well.
Yeah, that last fence is causing a few issues. There's been a lot of people having that down.
So we welcome now Melody Matheson aboard Quarterflex Enya MH. This is an 8-year-old grey mare, 170 centimetres, a Hanoverian by Edward out of a gymnastic star mare. Bred by Matthews Hanoverians, again another breeder who's certainly supported the sport and have had many horses through to the higher levels.
Yeah, Melody has had this horse right the way through the age series, I think. I adore this horse. It's got such a nice way of going and a beautiful jump. It's definitely one for the future, I think.
Well, being second in the Olympic Cup Horse of the Year class 2019, this is a rider who certainly has had some experience in the big arenas at the bigger fences.
Yeah, and Melody's been over to Australia a couple times and done a stint over there with her good mare as well. So she's got a lot of experience up her sleeve.
And she's had some really good wins on Quarterflex Enya and the 7-year-old. Also at the Takapoto show jumping week in the 6-year-old qualifier. So again, a horse who's been winning and used to winning right through the age group series.
Yeah, she's always been a very flashy mare, and that's where she would have won the 6-year-old at Takapoto on the style classes. So.
And what is it like as a rider to hop on a young horse and go, oh, I might have something special here?
It's a very good feeling when you get them young and you can, you find your path for what the best way to try and get them to the top is, and it's very, very cool taking a young horse from the start right through all the levels.
Very rewarding indeed, especially when you can get up to this height and have all that work realised. Now we see Glenn Beale back into the arena. He was in the prizes in the previous class in the metre 30-35, but now he's aboard all expenses of Renton. This is a 13-year-old bay gelding standing at 170 centimetres, a New Zealand thoroughbred cross by Wolfson out of a Kingsway Diamond mare. So we've got a thoroughbred stallion and the mare being an Irish draft cross. So we've got the good old Irish blood in there mixed with the thoroughbred.
Yeah, it's not one that you see that often actually. This horse seems like it's been around for a long time. I didn't realise he was only 13, but no, Glenn's had a lot of success with him as well.
And Glenn himself coming from Pukekohe in Auckland, and he's an accountant there. And the great thing is, it's a real family affair. So Glenn and his wife Sarah both show jump, and both their boys, Benjamin and Nicholas, show jump as well. And I can remember them when they were just babies growing up on the circuit. So you either have one choice, horses is not for you, or grab yourself a pony and join in. And that's certainly what they decided to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a family affair, the Beale family. So it's good to see. Their sons carrying on.
But again, we see another horse here who's just feeling his way around the track, unfortunately. And that is 3 rails down, but Glenn's still appreciating his horse's effort there. So it doesn't look like he'll be in the money for this class, which will be disappointing, but he has had a wonderful weekend. And now Annabelle Francis, we see her back into the arena, this time aboard La Quinara, a 10-year-old bay mare, a warm blood mare, standing at 167.5 centimetres by Ludger G. And they've had a really good season. They have had first placings this month, a metre 40 win in January at Taranaki in the North Island Champs. They had a win there too in the Horse Grand Prix. In the Central and Southern Hawke's Bays, they had a win at the World Cup qualifier. Now that's not easy to pull off, is it?
No. Annabelle has had an amazing season, and this mare has really just been trying her hardest for the season. I see she just unfortunately had the first fence, which is unlike this mare, but she's had an incredible season on both her top horses, and it'll be exciting to see her go next season when she's another year older and another year more experienced.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
going to be hard to beat.
I think so. Look at the scope. I mean, this mare really seems to know where all 4 of her toes are, and the effortless open through the stifles. She just pops up in front, and then the back end just opens up beautifully in the air. She seems to be very aware of where those poles are.
Yeah, no, I think they call her Queenie at home. She's very, very careful. And she's, imported from overseas as well. I think they brought her from Germany when Annabelle went over there a few years back. And, they've been a very, very consistent combination.
I think you might have picked it, Brooke. This one might be one to watch for the future. What a beautifully careful mare. And we see her coming at that last fence there, which has caught a few out. And again, she just seemed to keep her eyes right on her job. But unfortunately, the first fence down. That's disappointing.
Yeah, real unlucky, but I'm sure Annabelle will be very happy with that.
Yeah, what a lovely mare to take home and put in your stable, isn't it? You wouldn't complain about that. Now we have Alex Loisel aboard Haupuri Da Vinci NZPH, another New Zealand performance horse. This 8-year-old grey mare, 167.5 centimetres, a New Zealand sport horse by Untouchable. And they too have had a wonderful season. In February they had wins at 1.35 and the Horse Grand Prix in the Wairarapa. And then at the end of last year, Central Hawke's Bay, a win at the metre 25. So looks like they're stepping up to the 40-45s this weekend. And judging by the first few fences, looks like he's jumping the stands on this one.
Yeah, this is a really cool horse. It's got quite a unique way of going. He just gives them so much air, but Alex does such a good job with him, keeping him off those front rails and giving him that extra room. But this horse tries so hard, and it's been stepping up really, really well for him this season.
Yeah, there's some air there and a bit of a twist. This horse really doesn't want to touch the fences. And that's what we train for. And a very square oxer to come in here too, isn't there? The horses have to really focus to notice at the last minute, there is actually a spread and a back rail on that.
Yeah, and it's off quite a tight corner as well down there. You've got to be accurate and keep them off the front rail enough. But there's that last rail again.
Pesky last rail. What do you think it is, Brooke, about that last fence that's catching the horse's eye out?
It's quite narrow compared to the rest of the jumps on the course. It's not as much room to jump between the stands. It looks like it's jumping straight into the grandstand as well, so the horses might be casting their eye up a bit at the people. And it's plain white fence with those small rails on top. So,
well, here's an absolute legend of the sport, Maury Beatson. I interviewed him earlier. Do you know how many wins he's had in Grand Prix, Brooke?
Well over 200.
Yep, 204. What a legend. And he keeps track of everyone. And this is the great thing about the sport. I mean, you're 18 years old. Maury's been going longer than you've been alive by a lot. And there you are competing on the same even playing field what a wonderful sport that you get to compete with against someone like Maury Beatson, who's been doing this for so long.
Yeah, and Maury always gives it his all as well, so it's so cool to watch him, and we're lucky that he's still around and still a part of the sport because he brings so much light.
He does, exactly. He's a character, he's there to help people, he's passionate about the sport, and it's wonderful to see him still out there, you know, and his wonderful supportive partner of Sally Clark, who herself is an Olympic athlete, went to the Olympics on Squirrel Hill, medalist.
Yeah, well, they've both been at the top of the game for a very long time, and it's so cool to see Morris still doing it. He obviously loves it more than anything.
He does.
So.
And look at his face. I love those close-up shots of he's coming in and there's nothing else in his mind except him, his horse, and that very next fence. Well, that last didn't catch him out. What a disappointment that he had that rail, because I would have loved to have seen him going for it in a jump-off.
Yeah, he would have definitely given it his all.
But, of course, we don't have that clear round yet. With 11 riders who have been, we are yet to see a clear round. But Morris certainly was out there going for it. As we welcome Jeremy Whale aboard Idle D. Jeremy comes from Cambridge. He's a horse breaker and racehorse trainer at Diamond Lodge, and he specialises in educating young horses. And today he's riding Idle D, an 11-year-old brown gelding, 155 centimetres buying Doctro. Now at that height, this is just a small horse.
Yeah, very small horse, but he's got a lot of spring in his step. And Jeremy rides him real well. I believe he rides him for the Herdsman family. And yeah, he's a very, very cool horse. I think he jumped up to World Cups in Australia before they brought him over. And he's just been jumping and trying so hard for Jeremy. I think they've only had half a season together, so it's a combination that's come together quite quickly.
Certainly when he's in the air, he's as big as any other horse, isn't he? He's giving them just as much air. And wonderful to see these little horses. It's all about the heart. Too frightened to say anything.
Commentator's curse.
Here's the square ox up. No trouble for this combination there. See Jeremy starting to kick on. You're ticking up each fence that's behind you. You know, it's not over till you're through those finish flags at the end, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Nerves are high. Don't want to take the last fence. Look at that.
Long way to clear out.
And the crowd are appreciating it too. Everyone's been dying for a clear round. So that would be our very first clear round. And look, probably the smallest horse in the class at just 155 centimetres, and made it look easy.
Yeah. I think the small arena probably suits the small horse. It's easier to turn and keep them together. So maybe that's playing a little bit of a role in here.
It certainly did pay off. And I tell you what, little horses can have quick little strides, so hopefully we get a jump off and we get to see them in action. Now, a lady that could challenge this and give us a jump off is the very experienced Sam McIntosh. We saw her with two horses coming 5th and 6th in the previous class in the metre 30-35, but now she's aboard Takapota Alley de Chez Nous. This is a horse she really rates, an 11-year-old mare that she's brought over. Sam, of course, has competed overseas for years, and isn't it wonderful to have her back in New Zealand with all that experience?
Yeah, it looks like it's just put in a little buck, which didn't help at the first fence there. But this horse has got so much scope, and I believe they won the World Cup here a few months ago at Taupo. So, yeah, it does jump well inside from previous results.
Now, unfortunately, when watching at home, she'd gone just through the start flags, and then LA gave a buck, and Sam threw her off her stride. So Sam elected to do a circle, which means cross of tracks, which does give you 4 faults. So that's upsetting, isn't it, to start with?
Yeah, super unlucky there, especially because the mare's just jumping out of her skin for her now. So it'll be kicking herself about that. But hopefully, by the look of the way things are going, she might be trying to keep her time up for a quick will falter.
Yes, certainly, and Sam's got the experience to do that. And this is the great thing, these horses are loving this so much, and it's just like a little kitty at Christmas. LA just went yeehaw as she came through the start flag. She didn't realise that was going to cause her mother a problem.
Yeah, no, that's really, really unlucky there for Sam. She'll be a little bit disappointed with that, I'd say, because Mia just jumped amazing. I don't think she touched a pole the whole way round.
But, she made the call to circle there, probably thought if I kick on, I don't want to put my horse in a horrible jumping position. So that was a good call from her, but I'm sure she will be disappointed, and we're disappointed. We could have had a jump off. But now we see Oliver Croucher, and he rides Waitangi Surf. Oliver comes from Rotorua. He's a professional rider at 22 years of age, so just out of the young rider class there, but he's had a lot of success. He's based in Cambridge, and this grey mare is 13 years of age, 162 centimetres by Cassiano, bred by Jocelyn Bailey. We've seen a lot of event horses that have won many a title bred by Jocelyn Bailey.
Yeah, this is such a cool little mare. Ollie's had her for a long time now, and he does such a good job with her because she's definitely not the easiest of rides. She's rather quirky, so he bonded with her, and they're such a good team.
And they've had some good wins this season back in January this year at the New Zealand Nationals. A couple of good wins there, and then earlier at the Hawke's Bay, the 135 Championship. So they've had a good season, even though it's been a bit of a broken season with many shows being cancelled. How did that affect you, Brooke?
Yeah, we were really unlucky, obviously, not to have the Horse of the Year. I think everyone was a bit disappointed, but at the same time, everyone was in the same boat there. We've been pretty lucky with shows up here, up at Cambridge and stuff. We haven't had too many cancelled, but we're a bit more fortunate in some other places.
And unfortunately, we see Ollie there electing to retire after the 3 fences down. Just things not going quite to plan. These riders know their horses well and then elect to save them for another day. As we welcome back into the arena now, Annabelle Francis aboard Corrado GHP. This is a 14-year-old grey gelding, 160 centimetres, a Holsteiner by Caratino out of a Corrado mare. And Annabelle, 18 years of age. She's been on the youth squad and spent a year on the talent ID squad before that. She's from Taupo and is a professional rider. So she's had some lovely talented horses coming through, and I think has some pretty big plans for this one.
Yeah, this is such a good combination, these two. They're both small but mighty.
I like that.
Yeah, Annabelle is obviously an incredible rider, but this horse he's small but he tries. He's got the biggest heart. Yeah, they've had such a good season. They obviously won the World Cup Series and won the final at the World Cup show up at Waitemata. But yeah, she's been very hard to beat on this horse this season.
Yes, winning a World Cup final there's a lot of pressure. You're competing against many riders of the likes of Maury Beatson, and riders who have been doing this for a very long time. So to be so young and pull off a win at that metre 60 level, let alone a World Cup final, that shows incredible mental strength, as well as you're ticking all the other boxes. Your horse is fit, you're well trained, and you've got a good partnership.
Yeah, and Annabelle has got experience long beyond her years, so it'll be incredible to see what she can do in coming years.
And that's the exciting thing. New Zealand does offer such a great sort of starting ground for many of these riders, and then being Kiwis, hopefully when we can all start travelling a bit more again, it's a great launching platform to then send our riders overseas and gain international experience. But isn't it wonderful to have this arena? Many of the international riders have said it's very similar to riding overseas.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have this in Taupo, and I know Tony and Colin run a lot of winter jump clubs out of here as well, so it's a building that gets a lot of use, and it's such a good thing to have for us, as we don't have many indoors and yeah, overseas, most of the jumping's indoors over in Europe and those big classes over there.
And you can see the spectators up there enjoying some refreshments as they watch down over the main arena. There's Murray Beatson there watching on. It's a wonderful venue for spectators as well. So if you've never been to Taupo and you want to come and watch one of the many equestrian events that are here, there's dressage, there's show jumping, show hunter and eventing. National titles to be won right here at this venue. It's a wonderful, wonderful town to visit as well. There's so much outside of the equestrian centre to come to Taupo and experience. Very much a tourist attraction. Being this is Easter weekend, I've noticed there are a lot of people in Taupo this weekend. But of course, during the day we are here at the National Equestrian Centre, and it's been great weather, brisk mornings, but the sun has been shining and the horses all enjoying this wonderful facility. So we are, if you're just joining us, we are bringing you the Fibre Fresh Horse Metre 40, 45, $10,000 final. There's 10,000, there's some Easter bunnies. There's some $10,000 up for grabs in this class, so excellent prize money. $3,000 for our winner as we see Annabelle Francis into the arena aboard Corrado GHP. There goes the starting bell. I've seen Annabelle, and already she had just the one rail down on her earlier ride of Queenie, and that horse was jumping amazingly.
Oh, incredible. It was just so unlucky to have that first fence down, but Annabelle has such a great string of horses, and she's got more coming up, some young ones.
Well, she rode on aggressively to the wall, and it paid off, didn't it?
Yeah, he's a cheeky one, this boy.
You see, for those watching at home, she's got ears on. She's also got a shadow roll across the noseband. Why is that, Brooke?
The shadow roll is used to keep the horses' heads down. If they put their heads up, they can't see. So it encourages them to drop their heads a little bit and look at where they're going and look at where they're putting their feet.
Yes, you can see certainly sometimes he's almost trying to look back at his mother on his back, isn't he? But they're lovely and focused through the ABC, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really switches on when he's thinking about his job, but he likes to play around quite a bit when he can.
He almost looks like he's so talented. He knows when he has, oh, hang on, I'll watch this one. And then other times he's like, oh, okay, we've got this. But that's an unfortunate rail down that back of that oxer there.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll be
Super
disappointed. Oh, but he looked like he enjoyed it. He gave that little celebratory buck as he went through the finish. I can see what you mean by character. Oh, that's really unfortunate. It would have been so good to see Annabelle with both her horses in the jump-off, but not meant to be. That's the sport of show jumping. As we welcome Emily Hayward, we saw her earlier in the 130. She's aboard Centino. Emily, originally from the South Island, but now based in Te Awamatu. Sorry about that. I'm tripping over my own tongue. And she's riding this 9-year-old chestnut gelding, 160 centimetres, a warm blood by Centerdale.
Yeah, Emily thinks a lot of this horse. She's got the ride for the owners, Melanie Bridge, and I know she really adores them. They're a new combination this season, and yeah, they've had some good success already.
Well, yes, at Woodhill Sands, the horse Grand Prix win in February, and then earlier in the season, a young rider win. So again, we're looking at just a 21-year-old rider doing so well. She was obviously the winner of the Olympic Cup 2019 aboard wonderful Centavos, that beautiful stallion who's produced so many horses.
Yeah, Emily is such a hard-working girl, and I know she gets up at early hours in the morning and she works right through till late at night, and it obviously pays off. She gets the results, and the horse is jumping incredible for her.
Oh, and it would be nice to see if... gave that a bit of air and got underneath. It would be nice to see a jump off. I don't want to jinx it. Please, Emily. Oh, the crowd appreciated that. They're on the same page as us. Emily showing her international experience. Of course, she's represented New Zealand at numerous times in numerous countries. And it does look like, yes, we have a jump off.
Emily will be one to watch in the jump off. She can go very quick.
She knows how to win, doesn't she? She's proven that before, and that's exciting. So that's what we like to see about this sport, because the jump off is where it really, really gets exciting for the spectators. As we welcome into the arena Olivia Dalton, and she's riding Sildara Bonaparte. Olivia's from Karaka, and she's a full-time rider. This is a 13-year-old chestnut gelding, a warm blood, standing at 167.5 centimetres. Another purpose-bred show jumper.
Yeah, I believe Olivia brought this the same time as she brought her earlier mount. They came over together from Australia a couple seasons ago, and this horse has really been a good horse for her, taking her right up to the World Cup level actually last season. And yeah, very, very good partnership.
Well, they have won this season a young rider, a couple of young riders actually this season, and last year a win in the Premier League Horse Grand Prix. But unfortunately we see a rail drop there.
Yeah, real unlucky. He was actually jumping very, very well. He's just dropped another one in the middle of that combination as well.
I mean, these horses have been jumping well this weekend, but sometimes you get to the final class, end of the season, and they're maybe just a little bit tired.
Yeah, it's been a long season. I know a lot of people have been trying to squeeze in as many shows as possible with COVID and with not knowing what's going to be coming around the corner. So some of these horses have been out most weekends, and some others haven't been out that much at all. So it's getting to the end of the season, and some of these horses will be ready for a break.
Now we welcome Brooke Edgecombe, who was commentating for us earlier when you won, Brooke, in the metre 30-35. Brooke rides LT Holst Andrea. So I hope Oliver forgave her for not helping him warm up, and I hope he was helping her warm up today. But this is a wonderful combination. A 13-year-old brown mare standing at 162.5 centimetres, a Holsteiner by Casal. And Brooke Edgecombe was telling us earlier that she absolutely loves the Casals, and obviously this is clearly one of them.
Yeah, this is a very good horse. Also bred by LT, Lake Taupo, Holsteiners, and yeah, she's had a lot of success, many World Cup wins and Grand Prix wins, and they're always ones to watch in big classes like this.
Yes, she certainly has had a great season, and the one thing is, whenever Brooke wins a World Cup qualifier, everyone's so happy for her. She's got a lot of support out there.
Yeah. Brooke and Oliver, they've been around for quite some time, and they're a very familiar face on the circuit.
And of course, Brooke now has her little 3-year-old at the show, who's a very avid makeup artist and nail painter.
Yes, we've all seen that.
So if you'd like your nails done, Brooke and Ollie's little girl will gladly do those, and your makeup as well. Unfortunately, a rail down there for Brooke, which is quite unusual for this mare. Oh, she kicks onto that, just coming down on the back rail.
Yeah, she looked at that screen last minute, I think, cast her eye up, and she drifted away from it. So that is what probably caused her that back rail there.
So it'll be disappointing for Brooke aboard a mare who has certainly had so many wins under her belt, but as she mentioned before, that's the sport. You have your ups and your downs. Now here is a very experienced combination. Briar Burnett-Grant, and she's riding Fibre Fresh Verona. Now this horse has won some incredible things for Briar.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago they won the... 3 years ago now?
3 years ago, I think it might be.
Yeah, the Olympic Cup winners. Briar's the youngest person to ever win the Olympic Cup. Multiple Grand Prix young rider World Cup wins. They've gone over to Australia and had success over there last year. They're just, a combination that is always horse we reckon will.
Definitely. I think she might have only been 17 when she won the World Cup or something like that. Just crazy success. But very committed, like a super, super committed family. Wonderful supportive family behind her, and she's just an absolute delight. I've been interviewing Briar since she was 10. I think she won the Pony Grand Prix then as a little dot, and at the Horse of the Year title, Pony of the Year title at Horse of the Year show, and then has gone on to win the Horse of the Year, the Olympic Cup, which is fantastic. So lovely to see, but that would be an unfortunate rail there for this horse, 12 years old, Red Roan Gelding by Doctro.
Yeah, super unlucky. He jumped clear yesterday, so it's just, unfortunately, that's the way the sport is. You can be, winning, like I said before, winning one day and have rails the next.
Yeah, they do fall down pretty easily, and that's just the 4 faults, the one rail down there for Briar.
But she was pretty quick, so she might pick up a lower placing.
Yes, and there's just 2 riders left in this Fibre Fresh Feeds metre 40, 45, $10,000 final. And now it's Emma Gaze, and she rides Kofi Bug, a 10-year-old bay gelding, 163 centimetres, warm blood by the stallion we mentioned earlier, Eurosport Centavos.
Yes, Eurosport Centavos, he's got a lot of progeny on the ground, and they're been around for quite some time. They're getting on a bit now, some of them, but he's still serving many mares, well, all AI, but yeah, he's still got more coming through, and they've definitely been very prominent in the in all of New Zealand jumping. They have been jumping right up to the heights. He was obviously very successful winning the Olympic Cup and going over to America. And
I think, first of all, stunning looking horse, Centavos, and that sort of put him on the scene, and then to go and win the Olympic Cup,
yeah, he
kind of seals the deal.
He's a very beautiful horse, and he stamps his progeny a little bit. You can kind of see it when you say it's a Centavos. You pick it up pretty.
Yes, I fold a few at my place, and you see those little white socks coming out, and then the little white nose, and you say, there he is.
Yes, he's beautiful jet black with the white legs and the white star.
And this horse has had a great season, a win at Taihape in the metre 30, a mini Prix win as well, and at Taranaki at the North Island Champs, a win in the horse speed. Ooh, that was a nice deep spot.
Yeah, she's lucky to get out of that.
And that's the thing, we train our horses to jump no matter what. Sometimes as riders we miss. I know, I've been there. I used to say it takes a lot of talent to ride that badly, just sharpening him up. So it doesn't always go to plan in there, but what a lovely horse to jump Emma out of it. No wonder he's getting such a big pat.
Yeah, no, Emma always praises her horses a lot.
So the lucky last. We would love a clear round, please, Olivia Newsom. No pressure. Carantino Jewel, can she give us 3 in the jump off to add to the excitement? Olivia is from Tauranga. She attends Bethlehem College there. She's had a lot of successful seasons on ponies and horses, and she really loves taking on a young horse and turning them into a confident horse, which says a lot.
Yeah, Olivia does an incredible job, because this could not be an easy horse to ride. But he tries his absolute hardest for her, and they obviously won the Silver Tour final at Takapoto and were the winners yesterday of the first round of this class. So they're a combination that have come together so well.
Well, I see what you mean by not an easy ride. She's really having to ride between the fences, like pushing him forward, but then when he gets there, he gives it so much air.
Yeah, he looks like he's backing off a little bit more today. He's not easy at all, but man, she does a good job of containing him.
And I think anyone at home can see that, the riders have a lot on their plate, but depending on the mount they're sitting on, their role can really change significantly.
Yeah, Olivia's got a lot of horses. I know she had 2 in the last class and 1 here, and she's got multiple young horses at home, so she's having to swap and change between heaps of different mounts.
Well, I think she deserved a clear round there, so it's disappointing that she had that round. She certainly worked for it. So that's another 4-fault round. So unofficially it looks like we'll have just 2 that will come through for the jump off. Emily Hayward aboard Centino, and I think you might have picked her before as being a fast.
Yeah, very fast, and the horse is super careful, so it'll be very interesting to see what she does. I guess she'll watch Jeremy and make a game plan off that.
And Jeremy Whale aboard Idle D will be first into the ring for our jump off. And like you said, if he goes clear and fast, then she's got no other option but to go clear and fast. However, if he takes a rail, she could go in there and go a bit steadier. But then if she has a rare rail, time does come into it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. You got to kind of take the risk if you go in last and you have to jump a clear round. It puts a lot of pressure on, so you want to keep moving a little bit in case you have an unfortunate rail, just so you can hopefully keep your time up.
Yes, and that's what we're going to find out shortly. There'll be a very short course change to get this shortened course ready for the riders in the Fibre Fresh Feeds metre 40-45, just the 2 to come back. And it does look like we have our smaller place getters, Briar Burnett-Grant aboard Fibre Fresh Verona on that 4-fault round being the quickest. She will take out 3rd place. Olivia Newsom on Carantino Jewel will take out 4th. 5th will be Alex Loisel. And in 6th position, Annabelle Francis aboard Corrado GHP. So it's just 1st and 2nd which is up for grabs, and that's to be decided when we'll be back shortly with our jump off. Well, I mentioned I spoke to the legend himself, Maury Beatson, earlier in the day about his incredible career as a show jumper. So let's take a look at what he had to say. Well, I'm lucky now because I get to catch up with one of my favourites in show jumping, none other than Maury Beatson. And anyone who's followed this sport for years will know this man. You are a legend. Tell us a little bit about who you're riding in the metre 40.
Today I'll be riding a horse called Central Park. He's by Centavis. I hope he's going to be a good horse. He's got the potential to be a good horse, a very good horse. Easy to train, nice to ride. He's only 9-year-old, but it's we're just looking forward to the future with him.
And Maury, this sport has certainly taken you all over the world, the Olympics, 2 World Equestrian Games and the World Cup final in Europe. What have been some of your favourite moments?
I've been lucky. I've travelled the world. I've been to a lot of countries and the sport is very big overseas. It's huge. There's a lot of wealth overseas. But I tell you what, it is nice to come back to New Zealand and show jump.
Well, thanks, Maury. We look forward to seeing how you two go.
Yeah, thank you very much. Righto.
And unfortunately, we don't get to see Maury in the jump off. That would have been a lot of fun, but you can see there he did finish 8th with his 4-fault round, but he did give it everything. So Emily Hayward is getting ready for the jump off, and we'll have Jeremy Whale in first. So that is decided by the fastest round will go last. So Jeremy Whale, 71.45 seconds in the first round, first to jump off aboard Idle D, and then we will see Emily Hayward aboard Centino. So Brooke, you just won that metre 30. Speak us through what the riders are thinking now, warming up, knowing it's all on the line.
I think draw in the jump off. We draw in the jump off makes a big difference. Do you go out and set a quick time, try and push your horse along and set a time for people to chase, or do you just go out and try and go clear and hope that no one else can leave all the rails up?
And what goes through your mind when you're warming up? I mean, the horses have already done a big weekend. They've just had a class. You've warmed them up. There's a lot of extra time and energy that goes into getting them ready before we even see them enter the ring. So when you're warming them up for this jump off, what are you thinking? Conserve energy or warm their muscles up really well?
Yeah, I think, they haven't forgotten how to jump before between the first round and the second round, so I would usually just give them a trot and a canter, warm them up a little bit, and just, save their jumps a little bit, do 3 or 4, just get them warmed completely up and know that they've got to go again.
And again they do. So this Pip Howell's designed course, she's a very experienced course designer. We're lucky to have her here at the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo at this beautiful indoor facility. And the ground is, the going is well cared for. There's a lot of work that goes into that surface. Did you enjoy jumping on it this weekend?
Yeah, it's a very good surface. There's not many others like this in the country. I don't even think if there is another one like this that we compete on. It's very, very good, nice on their legs, and they all seem to like it a lot, the horses. They jump well off it. It's got a good spring in it.
It certainly does. You can feel that when you're walking on it yourself, and maybe a bit more comfortable for the 1 or 2 riders who have unfortunately experienced it by being separated from their horses.
Yeah, had it up close.
An up close feeling. And now we welcome Jeremy Whale back into the arena aboard Idol D, the 11-year-old brown gelding by Indoctro. Now, Indoctro is a stallion who's had some seriously good show jumpers.
Yeah, he's definitely left his mark, and he's got so many good horses out there,
and this is this little nippy 155 centimetre little small package that really has springs in his feet, and you sort of called it before, Brooke, when you said that maybe being inside the indoor, this tight track is suiting Idol D.
Yeah, he's obviously a very experienced horse, and I know they've got a lot more indoors over in Australia than we have here, so he might actually be, a lot more experienced in some of these horses indoors. But yeah, it really suited him, that first course. It caught quite a few out, some of those tight corners to some of the oxes where, you might have just need to give yourself a little bit more room.
Well, there goes his bell. Jeremy will have his plan in his head, obviously being out first. He can't risk that Emily's going to go fast and clear, so he's just got to give it everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he leaves the rails up, he'll put the pressure on, but he's just had that oxer.
Oh, and another one. This makes it very interesting, because he mentioned before Emily's horse is extremely careful. Now, she knows this. She doesn't necessarily have to risk it by going fast. But then, like you said, this sport can be so unpredictable.
Yeah, that's the third one he's dropped there. So I'd say Emily will just be out for the clear in this next round.
We often see this, don't we? A horse comes out the first round like this little horse and gave it absolutely everything. You could say was clearing the top of the stands, and maybe the end of a long season, there's just not enough petrol in the tank.
Yeah, I'm sure Jeremy will be a little bit disappointed with that, but he still gets a good placing. We'll have to see how Emily goes.
Well, there's still $2,450 for second.
Yeah. Well, in the next minute we'll find out.
Emily Hayward, Centino, pretty much if she pulls off a clear round, this is hers. There were 3 rails down there for Jeremy Whale aboard Idol D. But anything can happen in the sport.
Yeah,
Emily knows that.
Yeah, I'm sure she's been in this situation many times. She's got 2 rails up her sleeve, and if she, for some reason, has 3, she's just got to be quicker than Jeremy.
Centino's looking keen.
Yeah, he's got so much jump in there.
3 fences down. It's looking pretty good. She just has to stay in the plate, doesn't she?
Yeah, there's not many fences left.
Past the finish line attached to the horse. It's what her goal's going to be now, just this last, I believe it is. maybe second to last. Crowd is very quiet, and looks like she's done it.
Yeah, it was a lovely ride there from Emily, and she knew exactly what she had to do.
So she did take a little bit more time there, didn't she? 54.01, whereas Jeremy Whale was on 43 seconds, but like you said, she saw the round before her, had faith in her horse that even if she was slower, she could still win on a clear, and shows that experience. So that is well done to Emily Hayward aboard Centino.
Yeah, she'll be very happy with that new ride for her this season, and I'm sure it'll be a very nice way to finish her season with him.
Definitely, and it was an absolute pleasure to watch the Fibre Fresh Feeds final of the metre 40, metre 45. It's been a great weekend of show jumping at in the National Equestrian Centre in Taupō for the Easter Jumping Festival, and wonderful to see Emily, another young rider. So Brooke Hawthorne, being 18, won the class before, and now Emily just 21. It's looking like the young up-and-comings are owning the show.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's a good sign for the future of New Zealand show jumping.
Definitely. And there we see our final confirmed place gettings. Emily Hayward, of course, first. Jeremy Whale second. We had Briar Burnett-Grant there taking out third, and she had a fantastic round there on that little pocket rocket of a horse.
Yeah, she was so unlucky just to drop that one rail, but I'm sure, they'll be back and stronger than ever. They'll probably be going down to series finals. I'm not sure, but she'll be more than happy with third, I'd say.
And there we see the wonderful presentation rug there that has been placed on Centino, with Emily Hayward getting lots of congratulations from Tony and Colin McIntosh there, who are the show directors and have done a wonderful job of producing this show, and riders are just buzzing about it.
Yeah, and I believe Emily trains with Tony and Colin, so it'll be a bit of sweet for them.
And here's Maury coming up to congratulate. Didn't make it 205 wins, Maury, so your little book of success will stay tucked away, but I'm sure it won't be tucked away for too long, because Maury has a habit of winning.
Yes, he's always out to take home some prize money.
Indeed, Centino there, still puffing. I think he gave it his all.
Yeah, he tries super hard, and I know Emily's very fond of him. I'm sure she's even more fond of him after that. So.
It certainly helps. Well, that's $3,000 in her pocket, which I think she'll be fond of as well. Maybe a bag of carrots for Centino, and what a wonderful ride that was. So we've really enjoyed. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. Having your wealth of knowledge about your fellow competitors has just been brilliant, so thank you. And we wish you all the luck for Australia.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to sit down and watch the class with you.
We look forward to having you again in the future. And that was the Fibre Fresh Horse, metre 40, metre 45. Now, don't go anywhere, because there'll be a short break as the course is prepared for the Land Rover metre 2025 $10,000 final. Well, I do believe we're running a little bit late. The original time for that was 1:55, but we might still be on track for that. Probably not, actually. Probably running a little late. So do keep an eye out, and we'll be back to bring you the Land Rover metre 2025 final.